Now, I got a couple of subscribers upset that I keep talking about Hollywood as if I have the power to give ratings to Hollywood. I mean, look, I love the idea that the culture have shifted in such a way that a poor YouTuber at a little table can actually drive traffic to Hollywood in the minds of people. I mean, I love it. If you actually think that is the case, keep thinking that. I have power. Mwahaha. I have so much power, and they can't take it away from me. But in all due reality, it's very interesting, the phenomenon. Like, American culture has been sanitized to such an extent that when you see a person slapping another, that is what people want to watch. I mean, people are desperate for a little action. People are craving. The gatekeepers, like the people in academia, the Trust and Safety Council, which gets to speak on behalf of the American people. But every now and then you see the desire of the American people. You see what beats into their little hearts. And they crave for action. They crave for entertainment. There are more people who watched the slap that they have watched the actors talk about, oh, well, my environment. We need to live in an environment that is filled with green energy. And we care about the minorities. And we care about... No one cares, all right? No one actually cares. Even the actors themselves don't care when they spend time on their $1 million yachts and when on their $1 million private jet. No one cares. Absolutely no one cares. But we pretend that we care so that we are good people when in reality we want to see the slap. The slap is what people desire on their television. And by God, was it not good? We want more of the slap. We want Jackass to return. We want the Beavis and Butthead because we are a bunch of degenerate people who have cravings and desires that the elites are taking away from us. But in all due honesty, the thing that I really love the most is that this is not a polarized issue. I mean, it is a polarized issue, but not in the way most people imagine. I mean, it transcends politics. The slap is so powerful that it reached across the aisle, and many people have different takes about it. You have Democrats who are usually united in their thought, who are like the stormtroopers in Star Wars, each firing their thoughts in the same direction and always missing. But for the first time ever showing that they are capable of individual opinion which diverge from that of corporate interests. For example, you have people that agree with what Will Smith did. In the Forbes, an activist wrote that it's due to the cisgender, heteronormative, patriarchal culture of systemic racism, which shoved its hand up Will Smith and turned him into a little sock puppet who was incapable of controlling himself anymore. And he went in front of Chris Rock and did the slap that was heard across the world. And then you have other people saying that no, it is so dangerous what Will Smith did, like walking up to comedians and threatening them with violence is why comedians are quaking in fear now. They are paralyzed. So now you have like different people across the aisle trying to convince you what did happen, what didn't happen. Who knows? It's like an interesting crime series, an investigation, and the fact checkers are nowhere to be found. For the first time ever, we people are allowed to be free and form our own opinions and benefit from the liberty that our ancestors benefited from. No more fact checkers, no more snopes. You are allowed to take a side in this issue. It is so beautiful. There are tears running down my cheek. I have not enjoyed liberty so much since before the pandemic. And now, there is a wave of misinformation traveling through the internet. Someone tries to convince us that Chris Rock has apologized. And many people believe it because we are in a culture of apologia. Everyone is to apologize. Apologize is at the heart and soul of the American people. You have to apologize to show that you are guilty so that then the people can persecute you and get you fired. Apology is very important nowadays. So here you have Chris Rock's statement regarding last night academic awards at the Oscars. As a comedian, it can be difficult to understand which lines are to be crossed and which ones aren't. And this is why, my dear listener, I want to start a new business model. I think in America right now, comedians are like doctors because they have a lot of responsibility. A doctor has the life of the patient in his own hands. A comedian has the soul and the spirit of a patient. If you slap someone, the slap heals. But if you offend someone, it crushes their soul, their very being, their very essence. It turns a society into systemic racism. It is so powerful and so deadly. And as such, I would say that comedians have a even greater responsibility than the doctors because the wound heals, the offense never goes away. So just like doctors have insurance for malpractice when they get something wrong, so too my business should offer insurance for comedians. Because if a comedian says 1,000 jokes, but one of those jokes happen to be offensive, then they need insurance. They need to be able to be paid so that they can survive the upcoming storm when people get offended. Wouldn't that be a good business? What do you guys think? Would you invest in my business? How should I call it? Tell me in the comment section. But in the meantime, last night, apparently Chris Rock has crossed the line that I shouldn't have and pay the enormous price of my reputation as a renowned comedian. Comedy is never about poking fun or making fun of people with major ordeals happening in their life. But who gets to decide this, like what comedy is and isn't? Like, it's so interesting when you say, oh, I don't like this movie. Oh, but it's art. Art is subjective. Art is subjective. Who gets to decide what is funny and what isn't? That's my question. But anyway, right. Comedy is about using real-life circumstance to create laughter and bring light to an otherwise dark world. Man, you don't know just how many people have laughed at the slap. I mean, all over the internet, there are memes happening. I did not have so much fun since ever. Like, I can't remember the last time I laughed so much at the memes. The slap. With that said, I sincerely apologize to my friends Jada Pinkett Smith, Will Smith, and the rest of the Smith family for the disrespect and disregard I displayed, which was unfortunately broadcast for the world to see. I hope that with time, forgiveness can come. So I'm reading this, right? For the first time. You know, you get exposed to something. You have no additional context. And you're reading this. And I'm like, oh, Dios mío, this is so American, isn't it? I mean, the abuser is actually the victim. The person that have been slighted has to apologize. We are overblowing the situation so much. We are also moralizing the listener. I mean, I was thinking like, no, this must be real, right? Because it's very American. And many people thought it's real, but apparently it's not. Apparently it has been debunked. And I'm thinking like, how did people debunk it without fact checkers? Like, there was no Snopes. Twitter didn't ban it. The Trust and Safety Council of social media did not have a fit. So how did people figure out for themselves? Oh my God, it's almost like the American public is growing, you know, from little children that can't tell if Santa Claus is real or not. They're starting to realize what is truth and what isn't. Oh, if only some academic would study the process through which people on Twitter has managed to find out that disinformation isn't true. You know, maybe you can replicate it and then companies can save some money without having to hire fact checkers, because then people would be able to tell for themselves which is misinformation and which is truth. Oh my God, what a utopia. Maybe we should start a movement to get that happen. The grow the fuck up movement. You know, stop being a child, become an adult. Stop relying on fact checkers, make your own fact checking. It's almost like when you go and you buy a house, you don't rely on what the salesman tells you about the house, even though he's the expert. But you're supposed to independently verify whether the house is in good condition or not, whether the materials used are good, whether the area is a good neighborhood or not, you know? Called thinking for yourselves. Is that something interesting? Like when you buy a car, like, do you believe the car salesman? Why not? He's an expert. Why would you not believe him? Why would you ask a second opinion? Get your own mechanic to look at the car. Huh? Why would you go on Google and check out, like, what makes a good car versus a bad car? And then you apply that knowledge. It's horrible, I've been told. Like, doing your own research is bad. Why would you do that? Why don't you ask Snopes when you buy a car? Hey, Snopes, is this car good? So yeah, going back, like, how did people figure out that this is actually false, huh? Now, it's true, like, people believed it for a little bit. But then people verified it. And we're like, oh, okay, it's not true. Oh, interesting. Let me know what you guys think. And yes, I will make more videos on this subject because I find it absolutely interesting from a social experiment. You know, like, what happens when there is no censorship? Are people going to get to the truth of it? Or are people going to believe the misinformation? And it's also interesting because you don't have like a clear-cut line anymore. Like some people, even like within the left, there's people who say, yeah, Will Smith did nothing wrong. And then there's people who say Chris Rock did nothing wrong. And they all try to argument their opinion, and they're all trying to say why they believe what is happening. Like, oh, Will Smith is a victim of society. I don't think that's the case, by the way. I think he is a fool. Will Smith, you're a fool. Let me know what you guys think, though. I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.